Hi, Farnaz, how are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much also for coming on board and sharing your thoughts on disaster risk management of cultural heritage with the Silk Cities community. The stage is yours.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure for me, and thank you for the invitation. It's an opportunity, actually. Sometimes the disasters create the opportunity, and it's also another opportunity to meet the Silk Cities community. And I will share my screen and try to be brief. And okay, I think I need to, I don't know if I can remove this, but okay. So today I will try to give a very brief information about how the COVID-19 affected the heritage as a building and as a community. And okay, today is the 106th day since the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 pandemic on March 11, 2012. Actually, I was just left the country for another meeting. I just left you in Istanbul and another meeting, and I was at the same situation like you in the lockdown for 2 weeks also. And of course, all of us is following the situation, but I like to revisit the situation related with the heritage shortly, what's happened in these 106 days. And give a brief information about the COVID-19 impact on the heritage. I use the source of the UNESCO COVID-19 impact report for giving the brief information about the situation related with the COVID crisis and the effect on the heritage. According to UNESCO report, 98% of the World Heritage Sites have closed their door to the public. And unfortunately, we start to get a report that some of the places will not be able to open their doors for a long time. And what's happened during that time related with heritage sites and users. And many heritage sites stay empty, cultural events canceled, and like festivals, and the cultural institutions closed, and many restoration projects, site works is suspended, and the archaeological excavation stopped, and the community cultural practice suspended, like the Sunday services in the church and the Friday praying times, it's all stopped. And heightened the risk of the looting in the cultural sites due to the we could not access to the sites for controlling the security situation, try to do remotely from outside. And also the artists unable to make and meet, cultural tourism sector greatly affected, and COVID-19 impact related with the heritage, both social and economic. And I would like to give you very short information about the disaster type. From the disaster risk management perspective, actually we try to shape the disaster, describe the disaster according to the shape, impact shape. You can describe the earthquake or the conflict or the war as a circle impact. This can be starting the epicenter can be in the middle and can be spread like rings, but it's at the end is a circle impact. And some disasters like flood or like the dam collapse in Brazil is a line disaster. But if we look at this COVID-19 crisis, this is, we also describe this as a disaster. There is no border. You cannot describe the effect by looking at the physical border. Worse than that, you cannot see the impact. Impact is visible on the buildings and for now. And another important point is indefinite situation on this crisis. Like earthquake, you know the started point, when it started, you know when it's ended. And after that, emergency response situations start. You can describe the starting time and the finishing time. Not sometimes starting from the disaster, not minute by minute, not maybe day by day, but you can give an approximate time for the endpoint, duration, and impact. But in this COVID situation, this situation is very blurred, very gray, very indefinite. And because it starts in one country, and like 10 days later, it starts in another country, it starts in one continent, and like a month later, reach to another continent. And also the duration and impact is change from country to country, change to the demographic situation, and how they deal with their capacity for handling the situation is totally different. Therefore, we cannot give any solid description for this disaster. And another problem that you probably follow from the internet sources, it was an earthquake hit Balkans on March during the COVID crisis and during the lockdown, and some heritage buildings affected in Zagreb, and they never had a chance to reach immediately for the response to the rescuing the heritage artifacts. And this is another problem. Pandemic is in the middle, continue to crisis, and the earthquake, typhoon, or bushfire can continue. It means that the double effect. This is not a trickle effect, but the double hazard take place at the same time. And that's also affected the problems, actually. If you put the pandemic in the middle, it's like a matryoshka dolls. And the maintenance problems, security problems, economic loss, you can make a variation of those problems, and according to your country, according to your geographic region, according to your capacity, but always the pandemic is in the middle, and you cannot see the creator of the problem physically, but the impact can be seen. That's different than what we experience till today related with the heritage risk management. But the problem is, why didn't we know actually? This photo was taken from the beginning of the 20th century, that after the big pandemic situation, they are trying to provide the hygiene in the city. And when we look at this photo, and when we look at the close past related with the pandemic that we experienced in the world, and we didn't learn anything actually. We have no risk perception till today related with the pandemic. Actually, it was in there. When you look at the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction of UN, and if you check the page 10, item 10, I already checked, and it's addressed to Hyogo framework for actions. And from the Hyogo framework, we learned that gaps identified for the future challenge, and the pandemics is one of them. In the Hyogo framework, it started in 2005, and in 2015 is finished and opened a new framework, Sendai, is described, and they take our attention that be careful. In previous framework, we did not mention about the pandemics, but you need to be careful about new era for related with that. And I check our actually in my country, in Turkey, if we had any plan for pandemic, and I figured out that actually I knew that before, by the way. That's for you. I put in here, and we have a pandemic influenza preparedness, national preparedness plan is updated in 2019. It is in there. When you check actually the report, it's a thick report, but when you check the report, even you can see that you prepare yourself, your education system for the distance learning stuff, and it's everything in there. But as a heritage expert, we never thought about that. That will be also affect us. I'm sure that when you check in your country, your national influenza pandemic preparedness plan, it's in there. Probably maybe even for related with the heritage, it's an explanation in there. But we also did not check the situations. And okay, and recently actually, when you have a time in lockdown, you read more maybe. And I read a good 1-minute article about the metaphor of Corona-19 written by Marcus Brem. Actually, probably you already heard from the many risk management experts. We usually like to describe the disasters and the impact by using the animal metaphor. And he says that's why the coronavirus crisis is a gray rhino and not a black swan. And we usually explain the pandemic crisis is very expert explained that pandemic crisis as a black swan, a metaphor for an extreme rare event that is unforeseen and has an enormous impact. And probably you will remember that that was introduced by economist Nicholas Taleb in 2001, inspired by 2nd century Roman poet who presumed that such bird did not exist. And it was described in 2001, and probably many people will remember that that could describe well the 9/11 situation. But another metaphor is more fit to our situation, gray rhino, which refers to highly probable but neglected threats that have an enormous impact. And it was coined by the Michaela Wicker, policy analyst, described the Greek crisis in 2011. And actually, I do not want to describe the crisis by using the metaphor, but I would like to describe the heritage expert situation by using the metaphor of hostage strategy. What we forget, actually, we didn't see the obvious, visible, coming right at you with a large potential impact and highly probable consequences of COVID-19. And we use the closed topics, denial, and false optimism. We didn't see that how will affect the situation. Okay, after damage is done, and of course, during the crisis, immediate health implication is starting. This is for more, in all crises, in all disasters, just after the disasters, after the 0 second after the disaster, or when they declare the pandemic, is the priority is bring order to chaos, bring more lives. After that, you can take care of the other things. And related to it, the cultural heritage, the many known organizations, big organizations like UNESCO, ICOMOS, or ICORP, started to work on the heritage impact, and they prepared the need assessment, impact assessment, and the recovery plan. And if you check their websites, and UNESCO is updating regularly the impact response tracker newspapers, and they are updating very regularly that you can find what's going on around the world. ICOMOS also declared the situation, prepared a report about that. Actually, starting from the early stage, ICROM also started the webinar series, also the assessment tools for the post-pandemic situation. Right now, we are on the phasing. In some countries, we passed the first phase of this crisis, and we are working on assessing the risks. And we started to back to normal. In many countries, it's called the new normal, like Turkey. In many countries, the Minister of Culture started to create virtual tours for the users who cannot reach the museums right now. We started to clean the World Heritage sites, waiting for the new visitors. When the airline is opened, we are expecting to meet with people and the heritage buildings. When we look at the situation right now, actually, this no border, indefinite, gray or blue situation also can be helpful for us. When you look at the weakness and traits and the strengths and the opportunities, it's actually a kind of balance. Because there is a starting point, end point, duration is not same for the many countries. And it means that in some countries, crisis is over, and in some countries, it still continue. And it means that if crisis is over, you have an experience on that. You know how to use your sources. You know what kind of problems you face related with reopening your heritage sites, meeting the community with the heritage, and find the balance for the economy of the heritage, find a way to access to the site, and restarted the heritage areas for the reachability. So it means that starting from this point, we need a better communication between the organization, between the countries for sharing the experience. But also I would like to take your attention to the tunnel view. Right now, many organizations, right now we are doing the same things. We are doing the webinar. We started the online education for not interrupting the education system. We cannot reach the site, but we are using the technology for reaching the site by using like the satellite image or the like a drone views we are using. And we are using virtual tours to the museum and the heritage buildings. But we need to be careful. If we check the situation right now, most of our life is dependent on the online system, and we are using more and more the virtual systems, and we are more dependent on the internet, and we need to be careful about that. If we do not consider the second effect, trigger effect, or there is not only the good people at the world, there are some also bad people at the world, and if any like a cyber attack took place, and that are the second chance for overcoming this crisis, will create another crisis. And therefore we always, as a risk management community people, and need to be careful about the multiple hazard, vulnerability analysis, and you need to be careful about the trigger effect, and always create a plan B, plan C, in case of this kind of crisis situation. So what we can do, and in the oldest times, in the Silk Road, it was a big trade, more than thousands and thousands of years is continue. Even with the war, some continue, and even for the pandemic situation, epidemic situation continue, but the trade continue. How it continue with the written or unwritten ethics, rules, make the trade roads same. We should follow the same things, share the information for the without borders, because the pandemic has no borders, and we need to share the information, what we learned from this pandemic crisis, how we can overcome the situation, how we can successfully pass these times by sharing the experience, sharing the information. And yeah, I would like to say thank you for providing an opportunity. If you need any questions, you can reach me via mail. And also, I would like to recommend to visit our website. ICORP on the Road project is dedicated for the post-disaster trauma situation, and we are planning to filming a new episode related with the pandemic, and we will be able to share with the heritage community other people's experience, how they overcome with this crisis. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Zeynep. That was inspiring, and it was a very informative presentation. I really enjoyed it. And I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Your idea on the learning opportunity, which is the angle that you brought, and countries that which passed the crisis situation, and they can share their learnings with other countries how to deal with that. It was really, really, really interesting. What do you think the role of like ICOMOS, for example, like these international organizations, in charge of, not in charge, but dealing with all these big issues, what can be their role? Because we know that, sharing information, sharing the learning opportunities also means that you share your failures.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good question, actually. We are always talking about that. Organizations, some of them is intergovernmental organizations like UNESCO, like ICORP, and there is an agreement, and that agreement bound all of the countries who give the signature for being a part of these organizations. Therefore, between that organizations, the task is more described. But another organizations like ICOMOS, IUCN, it's also a kind of not hard, but that organization has a national committees and scientific committees. They can use this opportunity for sharing the information. What is important actually, what is the key point for sharing the information during the crisis is a clean information. Because the worst enemy during the crisis situation related with any heritage is not clean information. Spreading the rumor all created trouble. But if you create the clean information and channeling by using the credible organization, trustable organization, can help the communities to gather better and clean information for using overcome the crisis situation. That's what I'm thinking. But also, when you share this kind of information, you are also sharing your failures. But we all learn from actually not the success, from failures. And if we wanted to save more life, if you wanted to back to normal, and we need to be a kind of honest. Actually, we cannot actually, due to I can understand that it's a kind of also in many countries, it's a kind of the disaster times is national security issues also rise. But when you say something, when you share something, you cannot share everything. We accept that related, or even for the heritage. But when you share the things, you need to be shared the valuable information, clean information for improving the other countries' capacity for overcome the situation, who is not experienced yet or who is in the middle of the crisis. That's what I think.
Thank you a lot. I have another question. You showed the Silk Roads, the old Silk Roads map, global map, and you also showed us some historic sites in Istanbul, which are empty. Naturally they are empty. And so it brings me to the second question about tourism. We know that, heritage tourism is one of the major economic drivers for many historic cities like Istanbul. So yes, we have access to those digital museums, but they cannot generate any income for the city. So what do you think can be done, if anything can be done, basically? Because one source of the income channels for the city's economy is closed now. And it's ordinary people who live and work in tourism industry. What do you think that can be done to reduce that economic impact?
Actually, this is only the measurable effect of the crisis right now, the economic impact, because we know that how many approximately how many museums is closed, how many museums stay closed for that period. And right now, due to the travel restriction, and many tourists internationally cannot reach any destination. And that's a big crisis situation because many people's income coming from there. And also we all heritage experts know that buildings need a people's bread to continue to continue to their life. And I think for this time, and heritage role will change a bit because heritage was using a major role for driving the tourism, but right now we need an international help for many countries to overcome the situation. We will need a financial support for the heritage sites more than before. Many countries actually started to do their plan and explain their packages for supporting the heritage sites, and probably many will come later. Even I remember that if it's okay to give the name, Netflix gives some percent of their income for the supporting the heritage sites, and many countries, many companies start to support the heritage sites for improving their ability to overcome the situation.
That's great news. Thank you very much. It was great to have you here, Zeynep. Hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and pleasure is all mine, and hope to see you in real-time situation and real life.
Hopefully. Bye.